and the two staring at each other for a while, kind of like the Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns stare off last night. But it did eventually lead to a signing of a championship match between the two that'll take place in Staten Island on March the 7th, and that's got to excite everybody.
Yeah, that's gonna be bumping. So I know you were talking earlier that it was one of those rare matches where you had kind of like a crossover of talent. Me and Bonesaw and a couple of others get involved with Valkyrie-W.O.W Wrestling match. March 7th, we're doing a special. It's going to be kind of an experimental thing, but we're doing a double header, and we're going to have in the beginning of the day, earlier today, we're going to have Valkyrie-W.O.W Wrestling. Of course, that's going to be main evented by Bonesaw Bush versus Casey Carlisle. And obviously you can expect that to be a phenomenal matchup. And then, of course, later on that night, Warriors of Wrestling is going to be coming up, and we have Mr. Anderson's going to be there, and it's going to be an action-packed night, and it's going to be a lot of work for us who work in both camps, having put both these shows together, but it's definitely going to be worth it.
And it's going to be a great night. I mean, because earlier in that day we have the big event convention in Queens, where Damage 365 Radio will be joined with Nyla the Destroyer. So after that convention, we're gonna have to get her back to Staten Island, where she's gonna compete in her Valkyrie match. I mean, she's gonna have a long day ahead of her, but like he said, it's gonna be a great night with Valkyrie taking place first, followed by Warriors of Wrestling after. But at this time, I want to play the interview that I had one-on-one sit-down with Eugene, also known as Nick Dinsmore. He is the former WWE superstar and NXT trainer. So sit back and relax. It's about a 10-minute interview with former NXT trainer Eugene Nick Dinsmore. We're here live at Warriors of Wrestling in Staten Island, New York, and I am with former WWE superstar Eugene. Welcome to Staten Island.
Thank you very much. I'm so excited to be here.
Okay, I have a couple questions I'd like to ask you. One of them is kind of one of the main questions that most fans would like to know. How did you get into the wrestling business? What was like your major influence to decide to become one?
So I started watching wrestling probably when I was about 8 or 9 years old. I watched Saturday night's main event and then carried on to watching the superstars on the weekends. I did not have cable, so I did not get to see any like NWA, WCW, and I lived in central Indiana, so there was no like territorial wrestling. As I got older, we moved to Louisville, and I got to see the USWA and the Lawler promotion. But it basically broke down to I went to high school with the Nightmare Danny Davis's daughter. And at a big pep rally one day, I played football in high school. They were like, he wants to be a WWE superstar. She came up to me and said, my dad's got a school in Jeffersonville, which was literally like 2 minutes from where I lived. Ended up going to the school. OVW and Danny Davis contracted with WWE to become a developmental territory, and I kind of got in that way. As a kid, I watched like the British Bulldogs and of course Hogan and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Paul Orndorff, but as I got older living in Louisville, I watched a lot of Lawler and USWA, so I enjoyed watching performances and both competitions.
Okay. Where and how did the Eugene character materialize?
So one of the trainers at OVW, one of my mentors, the Hustler Rip Rogers, his son has autism, and he kind of gave me the idea one day about what if there's a wrestler who can't necessarily put a square peg in a square hole, that can't tie his own shoes, that has difficulty socializing with other people, but the minute the bell rings, he can do stuff that he's seen on TV. So at the time, I really didn't have an idea of who this character was, but I was in OVW. I was helping train the WWE developmental talent that was there. I was also wrestling for OVW. I pitched that idea to the creative team, and they were kind of like, well, I think wrestling's gone beyond that style of wrestling. This was like 2003, early 2004. I pitched that to the agents, and they were like, no, that's not something that WWE really is into. I ended up in a meeting with Vince McMahon, and Vince goes, I want to get back to character-based wrestling. And this was probably 8 months after Rip Rogers gave me the idea. I hadn't really thought about it much, and I just spit that idea out, and Vince goes, great, we'll start on Monday. So I really had no idea who the character was, and had the opportunity to wrestle Lance Cade before I was ever on TV as Eugene. This was like the one trial run I had at a live event, and it came off phenomenally. So it was just kind of a 10-year overnight success that culminated in the character of Eugene.
Who is your favorite wrestler to kind of mimic the gimmick?
Oh, all of them, you know. I mean, I would do Gorilla Monsoon's airplane spin. I would do the rock bottom, people's elbow, do the stunner. The stunner got the best reaction, you know. Do the pedigree, the attitude adjuster, John Cena. I mean, it was just fun to be able to take something that the fans already knew and remembered, and to be able to associate it into my performance.
How is the reaction backstage from the actual superstars that use those moves? How is their reaction to watching you do it?
I don't think they really cared, because, like, apart from like Rock and Austin, I knew most of the guys and had known them for a long time, and I was friends with them, and they were all excited just to see Nick Dinsmore become a player on TV.
Okay, fair enough. As far as Nick Dinsmore, you spent time, like you said, with WWE Developmental as a coach and a trainer, most recently with NXT. Who did you personally feel took the most work and maybe the least amount of work to get to the WWE level?
That's kind of a difficult question. You mean like the guys at NXT?
Yeah, that made it to WWE.
I mean, nobody had the least amount of work. You know what I mean? I think Lana was there probably the shortest amount of time, but you know, she was a character that was written into the show beautifully. I mean, everybody there busts their behind. I have nothing but good things to say about the Performance Center, about NXT, about the stars there. I mean, those kids are so over-prepared and can do everything from you know, the backstage vignettes to comedy to serious to wrestling a competition style, to wrestling a performance style, babyface, heel, you know, first match, last match, tag match, it doesn't matter. I mean, those guys put in a lot of work. I mean, when I was there, I was working with a lot of the talent that had less experience and probably was not on TV. So I really didn't have a lot of experience, but you know, the guys like Adrian Neville would still come to me and ask what I thought of their match. Guys like Tyler Breeze, you know, Adam Rose when he was there. You know, it was a good group of guys, and I was just really happy to be a part of that.
Was there anybody that you could look at and just say, "Wow, that guy's got it"?
So there's a couple guys now that I don't believe they're on TV yet, but Chad Gable is an Olympic wrestler. He wrestled in the Olympics for the United States. He's going to be phenomenal. Guy by the name of Hugo Knox, a British soccer player that is now wrestling there. I mean, there's guys like Elias Sampson. You know, I communicate still with guys like Bull Dempsey, guys like Buddy Murphy. You know, guys that are just now starting to break into it. But if there's one guy that I could pinpoint that's going to be, you know, that could be the guy. It's a guy by the name of Tony Briggs. He's not on TV yet. I dubbed him the name Cannonball. I don't know if he still uses it, but he just was over-the-top personality. You know, had huge muscular thighs, athlete. Cannonball Tony Briggs. I mean, he could very well be the next big star that we're all talking about.
Now, you see NXT level competitors, they move on to WWE. You probably had firsthand training with them. Who do you see now at the WWE level that was previously at NXT that kind of just brings a smile to your face?
Well, like I said, you know, I mean, all the guys there, because they're working so hard. Everybody that's on NXT TV has the ability to be on Raw. It's just going to take the person to say put them on Raw. You know what I mean? Those guys have the talent, the ability. You know, I mean, like I said, Adam Rose was an NXT guy when I was there. That's moved on to Raw. You know, even going back, Bray Wyatt, his whole existence is developmental. I knew him when he first started then, so I mean, he's one of the, like, Bo Dallas is one, you know. But like I said, the guys that are in waiting, there's a whole crew of guys that the world has no idea about, you know. Braun Strowman is one of the strongest men in the world. That the minute he's unleashed on the WWE Universe is just going to cause havoc. But then you bring in guys like Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen, or Hideo Tomo, Kenta, or Finn Balor, Prince Devitt. I mean, these guys are phenomenal, and they're not going to be on this WWE NXT stage that is just going to, I mean, product is, in my opinion, is so strong right now, or on the edge of being just possibly the strongest it's ever been.
Okay. What's the future hold for Nick or Eugene?
You know, I mean, I've got a lot of irons in the fire, as they say. I'm enjoying right now living in Florida, enjoying the nice warm winter that we are having. You know, I still enjoy performing, traveling around, wrestling. I see that I'll probably be doing a lot more seminars now, because a lot of the up-and-coming independent talent wants to know what it takes to get to that next level, wants to know what they can expect for a WWE tryout, or what they need to do to get noticed by WWE. And I've traveled, I just spent 2 weeks in England doing seminars. I've been all over the Northeast. I'm traveling all around the world performing seminars. The Nick Dinsmore Pro Wrestling Seminar that is trying to inform independent talent, you know, what they need to do to really shine on either the application on how to get a tryout, or on the tryout itself, or what they have to expect once they make it to NXT.
Social media, how can fans reach out to you?
So I'm a big Twitter guy. So my Twitter handle is @the letter U-G-E-N-E, and then my last name Dinsmore, D-I-N-S-M-O-R-E. Booking information, I generally use Facebook right now. You can Facebook me, Nick Eugene Dinsmore, the letter U-G-E-N-E, and you can always go through my good friend Eric Sims, ESS Promotions, @ESS316. Is the Twitter handle. You know, I've always told people that Eugene has two uncles in the professional wrestling business, Eric Bischoff and Eric Sims. I've got two uncles named Eric. One of them is a heck of a nice guy, and one of them is an a-hole, and Eric Sims is one of them. So, you know.
Eugene, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was former WWE superstar Eugene here at Warriors of Wrestling, courtesy of ESS Promotions. I am Coach Kev with Damage 365.
Man.
And I hope everybody enjoyed that interview with Eugene, Nick Dinsmore from WWE, former NXT trainer. I'm back with Jay George. Jay George was part of a seminar that Eugene did prior to the Warriors match, where he kind of got you know, all the mental states of what to expect when you're training to be a NXT star and then eventually a WWE star. Jay, what physically was it very high paced? I mean, you know, give me like a minute kind of description of the seminar.
All right, so he came in there. He told us, all right, I'm gonna give you guys a quick rundown what to expect when you go do a tryout. And you know, it's basically we started off doing calisthenics, squats, push-ups, Hindu squats, Hindu push-ups, bar jumps, burpees, and we did it for about 10 minutes. And you know, I felt like I would have been blown up completely, but I definitely felt the pain. I mean, you know, a lot of the other guys too. But he said that's, you know, that we only did 10 minutes. He said usually they do that for 90 minutes, and for the most part, wow, like a lot of guys are blowing up, throwing up by 10 minutes. So I felt pretty happy with myself that I was able to get through most of it. But you know, a lot of us looked at each other and we realized it was kind of an eye-opening experience where it's like, all right, we need to kick it into high gear. We need to start implementing some of this stuff to our training, because if this is where we want to be, we need to be ready. We need to be ready to go, you know?
Absolutely. And, yeah, I mean, it opened up people's eyes to understand that what they've been doing to prepare themselves, you know, all this time is not even close to how independent wrestlers on the NXT level get themselves ready for training and matches and practice and things like that. So I'm sure it was an eye opener.
I'll tell you what, man. I don't know. I can't speak for too many other schools because I'm sure other schools I know like PWS kind of has like their thing, and we're going to start doing this at Warriors, implementing a lot of the drills and the calisthenics training that Eugene taught us. But for the most part, and this is all independent schools throughout the country, you know, for the most part, guys come around, they do a couple rolls, take a couple bumps, and then they just wrestle around, which is good and all. But you know, we definitely, everybody, for us to compete at a higher level, we all need to start incorporating those calisthenics and at the Warriors Wrestling Training School, which is at the Fun Station.